He's called the Viking! He's something Viking! He thinks he's awesome!
Hey everybody, it's me, it's Undead Viking. I'm here with another video review for you. The game today is Gone Viking, and any game that has the name Viking in it is going to get a review from me, if I can get a hold of a copy anyway. Gone Viking is a trick-taking card game that for 3 to 5 people. And basically what it is that there are 4 different suits, if you will. They are books, slaves, I guess they're called fists, but they're fists and shackles and whatever. Hammers, like Thor's hammer, and gold. And so you have these 4 suits, and you have cards, and you just take turns trying to take tricks, and like when you take them, you earn tokens that kind of look like this. And I understand that the Kickstarter just announced that they're actually upgrading from cardboard tokens to really nice wooden tokens. So that's something to look forward to. But anyway, regardless, so when you take these tokens and you collect them during a round of play. And then after everything is done, whoever did the best is like, woo, I did the best. But what happens is that your Jarl, which is basically a Viking leader, comes and takes half of the stuff that you got because he, takes his cut, if you will. So it's a really cool trick-taking game, because then there's other things about it too that I'll show you when I show you the gameplay, about the actual how to play the game. But that's the real cool part of the game. It's like, if you do the best, you lose. So, and it isn't that you don't want to do the best, because doing the best actually is helpful in some ways, because like you start off the round and you get to exchange cards and things like that. Once again, things I'll show you in the gameplay. But it is that signature moment that is like, doing the best actually in a way kind of hurts you, is like the cool thing about the game. But I'm ahead of myself, as I always do. I'm going to show you how to play the game. It won't take long at all. I'm not going to really show you any gameplay. I'm just going to show you the rules. And then we'll come back, and I'll tell you exactly why I dig this game, why I think you should go to Kickstarter and give them some of your money, and why I think you should put this on your shelf. Alright, here we go. Gone Viking. This is Gone Viking, and this is my prototype for Gone Viking. So that being said, as with any game with a prototype, what you see here may or may not be indicative of what the final game will look like. So just keep that in mind while I tell you how to play the game. These are treasure tokens. The treasure tokens are what you get when you take a trick. So if you happen to win, like, somebody like leads with a suit, and you play the highest card for that suit and then take it, then you would then take one of these tokens that's represented by the card that you took the hand with. So like here is a one of the slaves, or the hands. This is like a number 5. Here's a book with a 4, gold, and a hammer. So like if you took a trick with this hammer, that 6 hammer, you had the highest number of the trick, then you take one of these tokens. If you were to take a token that there were no longer any left, then you would get a tree token. These tokens are basically the victory points, and after a round is done, if a player has a total of victory points that equals a number, either 7 with 5 players, 8 with 4 players, or 9 with 3 players, then you win the game. If you ever have one of each of these 4, you can turn it in and get a ship token, and you can see the ship token has a value of 4. It's important to note that getting a ship token is actually really good for you, because the Jarl can't steal a ship from you. The Jarl will only steal tokens. So, anyway, the game is pretty simple. You have this big stack of cards. You deal them out. In this case, like a 5-player game, each person would get 9, 8. Each person gets 8 in a 4-player game. Each person gets 7 in a 3-player game. You deal them out, and then whoever the first player is, they pick a card, and they they could lead with this 8. They put that down, and everybody has to follow that. So if they have, they go, okay, that person puts that down, That person puts that down. And maybe, the other person just doesn't have any of those cards left, and so they have to, like, just put another card down because they have to give something up. Now, the interesting thing is, and I did this on purpose, is this is a one book, but the trump of the game, and if you trumps basically make it so it's the best one. The trump of the game starts off as a book, and the person who leads the first turn after the first turn of the game, they get to pick what the trump is, and I'll go into that here in just a little bit. But in this case, if you never played a trick-taking game, even though this person had an 8 on their fists there, the person with the 1 wins because they took with the trump. And then they would get one of these little book tokens that they'd have and place that in front of them. And so then the person who took the trick then starts off, and then they could start with whatever, put a 5 hammer down, and maybe this person has a 1 hammer, and this person has a 2. Now here's the cool thing about this game is that now normally in trick-taking games you can only put like 1 card down. But in this game, you can do a boost. So you could put 2 cards down. So like a 5 hammer and a 2 hammer for a total of 7. So that person would put those down, and because they have a total of 7, they take that, and then they get one of these little hammer tokens. Now, so I mean that's one of the other little tricks that you can play in the game. Now, I'm going to show you these really quick. In the game, there are these god cards, and the god cards, as you can see, have the same color. The Thor, the fist, the hammer, the gold, and the book. And so Odin, Freya, Thor, and Loki. When you can either use these cards just as their high value number card, like so. But another option you have is when you play your card, you can play your god card face down like this. And so after the round is done and the turn is over, whoever gets it, gets it. Then whoever played the god card can turn it over, and then they can enact this god power. And so what happens is like certain things they have. This one, as soon as you play it, you get to call the trump. And then you can't do any boosting. Now if Odin's in play. Now, and if this is still in play when like everybody's done and you do what's going home, the person gets to gain 2 items. They get to pick 2 of those. And so, like, and other people do other things. Like Loki here, the weakest card wins the trick. So like the 1s actually become powerful instead of high numbers. And then when you go home, you can gain an item or steal an item from somebody. With Thor, no trump, so you just basically get rid of any trump that's possible. And it's like you also have the strongest wins the trick. So you can also, like, instead of the card suit doesn't matter anymore. It's just the total that matters. Because this other one that says following is optional, you don't have to follow what the person puts down as the card. And then so when you go home, any 4 items can become a ship. Remember I told you that you can trade in one of each of these for a ship. You can just trade in 4 items. If you're going home, just 4 generic items, and you get to take that home. So, these are ways to beat them. Oh, I should show you Freya, too, while I'm doing this. Freya, you get to call the trump if there isn't a trump in play already. And then if you win a trick, you also get +1 coin. So you get another coin over there. And then when you go home, everybody else loses an item if Freya's in play. So those are just another cool thing to add to the game that like changes and switches things up. So as I said, when you call home, what happens is everybody totals up their tokens, and that's tokens they had in the prior rounds and the tokens they have now, and they total up their total. So, and whoever has the most has the Jarl come and basically demand a part of your spoils. And so what happens is then you lose half of your plunder. So, and then you also like have to round up, and that includes ships, but you can't ever lose a ship. So if you had a ship and 3 tokens, you'd have a total of 7. And so if you have that, then you say, okay, I have 7, somebody else has 6. Okay, well I'm the one who kind of gets boned here. But so you take half of 7, which would be 3.5 round up. So you lose, like technically in that situation, you'd be losing like 4. But the thing is that you can't lose you can't lose your ship anymore. Like your ship you can't take. So that's where you just lose all your raid tokens. So if you had like 5 raid tokens and you lose half, you lose 3 of those. So you can see having the Jarl come and take your stuff is actually pretty damaging. It sets you back. So it's really interesting that, then some people are going to say, well, why would you ever want to be the one who leads? Well, if you are able to, if you're the leader, you become the raid leader the next turn. And so you get to exchange, after you're dealt out your cards, you get to exchange 4 of those cards for 4 brand new cards, and for free. Normally, if somebody else wants to do that, they have to exchange a token, one of their own treasures, one of their victory points, basically, to exchange 2 cards. And so that's a really powerful thing, and also you get to declare the trump for the turn. So after the fact, after you looked at your cards, you look and see what you have. Oh, I got a bunch of hammers. Well, I'm going to make the hammer be the trump. And so then you get to start off, you get to lead the round, and maybe possibly then, because you've set up the trump in a way to let you win, you then have a bunch of cards that are going to be helpful for you, and you get to start that off. So that's basically the really simple rules. I mean, this isn't a really tough game to teach. It's just one of those things where after you've played around, the whole thing's going to click for you, and that's when your strategy and your tactics and the actual real fun of the game starts. So, well, that's how you play. Let me tell you exactly what I think of Gone Viking. Alright, so there you go. You know how to play Gone Viking. Alright, so what do I like about the game? Well, first of all, it's just trick-taking. So, and I remember many nights at my lake cabin, many nights at my parents' house, many nights at my grandparents' house playing games like Hearts and Spades and things like that. And trick-taking games have always kind of been in my blood and things that I've really enjoyed. Now, throw in the Viking theme, which technically could have been about anything. You could have made it about pirates or spaceships or zombies or ghosts or dragons or what have you. And you could have found a way to take these rules and thematically insert them. But they didn't. They took Vikings, so cool. But you have that, and it kind of grabs me just because I'm Scandinavian and what have you. So, but what do I like about it? I mean, I just like all the little ways they make the game different. I love the way that you're collecting tokens. Just collecting the tricks isn't how you win. I mean, it's the way you win, but you collect those tokens, and then you're collecting tokens, and you can turn them into a ship because the ships can't be taken away from you. And then you're just trying to get to that 8, that total, and then trying to make sure that you do just good enough to be able to collect the things you need, but not so good that you end up losing half of your stuff. And rounding up stinks. I mean, there's so many games you play, it's like half of whatever round down, half of whatever round down. This, it's because you're rounding up, so it's like, oh, I took 5, so I'm losing 3. It's just like I should have taken 6, and things like that. So it's one of those weird things where all the all the different parts of it just work really well together. I really enjoy the God cards and the way how people can either use those as a really big card for one of the suits, or they can use it for the God purpose. And that's a great way to hold that in reserve. I love the Loki card. There's been so many games I played of this where you're able to change things up. You see everybody the first 2 or 3 rounds of going around, everybody's putting their high level cards on, or they're sluffing their low level cards or whatever. And if you can put this down and switch things around so only the low level cards are the ones that are really helpful, especially if you play Loki after everybody's kind of gone through that process of whatever trick-taking game, I usually trying to throw out that that 1, I'll throw out when you throw out the 3 of clubs or something in a game of hearts or something like that, just to kind of see what other people have and see if they kind of show what they do. Same thing here, you throw out a 1 gold or whatever and see what everybody follows with, and you can see if somebody's shortchanged themselves on a suit or something like that, stuff like that. Well, that's the same thing. As far as with this, it's like you can switch that around. Everybody's kind of gotten rid of some of the lower cards. You held on to yours. Now you have these low cards that you can then use to like take tricks, stuff like that. Really adds a lot to the game and adds a lot to the strategy. You know, ultimately, you know, it doesn't stay around. It doesn't overstay its welcome, if you will. It is a very fast, very like, you know, clever game, and it isn't really tough to learn either. It's definitely a very social game. You know, after you've learned it, this is once again a game that you sit there and you're talking to everybody and just playing the game. The game is almost ancillary, so to speak, to hanging out with your friends and being able to play something fun. I'm really looking forward to actually having my parents play this, because I think they love you know, Pinochle and things like that, and I think if I could get them to try this game, they probably like it a great deal. So there you go. I mean, it's simple, it's fun, it's got great art, it's got a really cool theme that technically didn't really have to be on there, and also it's got some really cool things. And also, I forgot to mention the other thing I really liked, and I mentioned that in the how to play, but the fact that you can like boost your cards, so like you could, you know, put, you know, 2 hammers together and like have a really good card. So, you know, just because, you know, you get a bunch of little cards doesn't mean that you can't take some tricks and still build up, if you will. So there you go. If you have any other questions about the game or any concerns or what have you, I'm sure that you can ask those of me, and I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability. I'm positive the designer of the game will be more than happy to help out. I'm talking to him about some rules questions I had, and he's been extremely helpful as far as that's regard. So this is his baby. I'm sure that he'd be more than willing to answer anything that you might have for him. So there you go. It is Gone Viking. Please go to the Kickstarter, check it out, see if it's something you want to back, and give them some of your hard-earned cash so you can get a copy of this once it is printed. As always, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. This was Undead Viking. This is my gaming dojo. I am in Minnesota, and I am Scandinavian, and I'm pretty sure I'm descended from Vikings at some point, at some time. My great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or something like that. So, alright, you have yourself an awesome day, and I will talk to you, well, the next time you watch one of my videos. So, take it easy. Bye-bye now.